What is up, guys? Rick Cacus here, and today we have a bunch of new Destiny 2 information to cover. If you're a Destiny fan, strap yourselves in. And that's because we got a ton of new Destiny 2 gameplay, showcasing multiple activities within the European Dead Zone area. We have patrol modes, we have public events, we have lost sectors, we have a bunch of stuff showcased, and we're going over all of it today. Now, this actually was leaked yesterday. Some of you guys were sending me tweets and emails saying, hey, have you heard about this? I certainly did, but it was just gameplay that had broken embargo. So Activision was going and taking down all of the videos involved with this stuff. So obviously I had to wait and do the proper thing and release it today when it's all good and ready. And actually, because I didn't jump on the leak bandwagon, Activision actually gave me some European Dead Zone B-roll gameplay, which is in the background right now. And that was not leaked yesterday, so this is some brand new Destiny 2 gameplay you're seeing right here, which is pretty exciting. But now it's time to break down this gameplay and showcase all of the goodies inside. And so, let's get started. The very first thing we have shown off here is some public events and the use of the in-game map. The player checks it, sees that there's a public event ongoing, and travels to the area nearby. There's actually several different landing zones per planet, so you can travel to the closest one to the activity you want to do. Instead of Destiny 1, you went to your landing zone 1 per planet, and that was the only option you had. Also, interestingly, it says that this public event will reward rare gear. We've seen previously that certain public events reward, as you can see, a legendary gear. So has this changed, or are there actually different public event difficulties on different planets or so on? Some with rare gear and others with legendary. Was the one with legendary actually a flashpoint public event? If you don't know, every single week a certain planet will be picked as a flashpoint, where there's going to be a ton of different public events, and then you actually have to do a bunch to fill up a bar to get special rewards. That's actually an interesting point that we're going to have to kind of wait and see when the full game releases. But we also see gameplay of a different public event here, and a scoped scout rifle and a Suros auto rifle being used to kill Cabal. Now, very interestingly, during this public event, not actually after, but during, the player picks up something that's going to come up quite a bit throughout this gameplay, and we're going to explain exactly what these do later on, but it's a European Dead Zone token. Presumably, this just dropped randomly off an enemy, but we're going to see that again when the player actually completes this public event and is rewarded with a loot chest full of goodies, those goodies being another European Dead Zone token, some glimmer, and some blue leg armor. But there's something else that happened during the looting of the chest. Did you catch it? The Titan that got the chest loot actually was wearing the ACD/0 feedback fence exotic Titan gauntlets. These right here are presumably returning from Destiny 1 with their same exotic perk, which is, in case you've forgotten, Wrath Conductors. Taking damage from a melee attack deals damage in an area around you. Now, moving on from there, we then switch on to some patrol gameplay, with the player doing some pretty standard patrol activities, with the simple mission being to go out and kill Cabal to collect their Red Legion supplies. However, we do actually get to see the exotic weapon that was first spotted in the Destiny 2 launch trailer in action. It turns out to be a pulse rifle, and it just looks definitely incredible. You can actually see down at the bottom, it has a constant rotating flux of void. I can't wait to see what this weapon's exotic perk actually does. But also during this patrol mission, the player comes across a high value target. Killing this high value target drops another loot chest, just like the one we saw for completing the more obvious public event earlier. In fact, this high value target doesn't even cause a public event notification to appear. And the rewards from this chest are just another European Dead Zone token. There's also another golden chest, maybe like the ones in Destiny 1 where certain planets have certain golden chests you can only open once, and 3 European Dead Zone tokens are rewarded for opening this chest. We then move on to some Lost Sector gameplay, with the Lost Sector being relatively easy to find. Apparently these are going to vary in how easy they are to find. Some of them, you just see the symbol, you walk into the building in this case, and there you are. Others, you're going to have to do jumping puzzles in order to get to the cave entrances. This is according to Bungie. But we see the player fight his way through this Lost Sector with 2 different weapons, both being pulse rifles. The Soros pulse rifle looks just incredible. It looks so good. My first inclination is always to be, oh, that's another exotic. I mean, it's yellow, the sight looks incredible, but it just might be that Destiny 2 has fantastic looking weapons, and quite frankly I think this is the case. The other one that we saw earlier is so unique, I do definitely think it's exotic, but I just think this is a really sweet looking Soros pulse rifle with potentially a very unique weapon skin being equipped, because remember, weapons in Destiny 2 you can finally put on different shaders to change their appearance. We then move on to the adventure gameplay, and at the very beginning, something that a lot of people may have missed but is incredibly important is that the player rides over a blue engram in his pike. And if we kind of zoom in here and see what was awarded, it's called the Future Imperfect, and it's a power weapon. But just look at that symbol. Look at that symbol. What power weapon is this? Seriously think, what power weapon is this? Because it's not a grenade launcher. It really doesn't look like a rocket launcher, not a fusion rifle. So what is it? Well, if you look closely, to me, that looks like a sword. You can see the hilt, the very thick hilt, and then what looks like a blade coming down and going into the bottom left-hand corner. Guys, this is again insane, because this means that swords are blue rarity. And by swords being blue rarity, that infers that swords have just been properly put into the loot table. You can get green swords, you can get blue swords, purple swords. There are not just a handful of pre-designed swords within the game like there was in Destiny 1. There's going to be tons of different swords in Destiny 2. And in fact, the very next piece of gameplay, we see the player jumping around with a sweet looking sword on his back. And also the sword that was awarded, the blue one, looked extremely unique. And this goes into what Mark Noseworthy said, with there being many different types of swords. In fact, this one awarded looks more like a short sword, or heck, even I would go so far as to say potentially a dagger, which could be really interesting for switching up gameplay and diversifying that particular gun type. Moving on from there, we see some more adventure gameplay, and assuming this is all from the same adventure, or even if they are separate adventures, these seem pretty substantial. Definitely more than your current patrol activities, and like the patrol activity we did see earlier. They kept those very simple patrol activities while just adding on top of them and on top of them and on top of them with all of these other activities you can now do. And right after this adventure gameplay, take a look at this weapon. Just take a look at it very quickly. What is this? I think most of you guys will be going, well, that's a sniper rifle. Nope. You can see down in the bottom left-hand corner that this player actually has a rocket launcher equipped with 3 rounds. So if that's a rocket launcher, then this, looking at the symbol, is a scout rifle. This just screams awesome to me. Hopefully, this isn't just aesthetic, and Bungie is actually introducing scout rifles that, you know, maybe even are potentially 2-hit kills, but shoot incredibly slow. Scout rifles, sniper rifle hybrids. With sniper rifles being relegated to the power weapon category, a lot of players really wanted sniper rifles to be more available. Having very powerful scout rifles that have, you know, great zooms and great damage, that is a way to kind of bridge the gap, to give players access to those weapons that are very similar to sniper rifles without actually providing those one-hit kills that sniper rifles do in PvP. But again, could also just be a really sweet looking scout rifle. But then we have this player go and interact with Devrim K, a new NPC that we did see in a gameplay trailer a long time ago. Now right here we see exactly what Devrim K will look like in the full game. He's actually a vendor, and he's a faction vendor for the European Dead Zone faction. It's kind of weird, but that seems to be what it is. The description says that he's a Dead Zone scout. Ever the gentleman sniper, Devrim K holds fast in the wilds of the EDZ. And you can see that this player actually picks up a faction reward for leveling up his, again, European Dead Zone faction. Presumably, each different planet will have their own unique faction and faction rewards, which will be really interesting. You know, a unique shotgun dropping from Nessus that everyone's going after, and then a very good scout rifle, let's say, dropping from Io. Like, that's going to make the game a lot more interesting and make players just do a bunch more stuff in the end game to go and get those weapons. And endgame weapons, you know, speaking of, when the player actually collects this EDZ engram, they get 2 different legendary weapons, a shotgun and a rocket launcher. They also get 2 Dead Zone bark shaders, and that definitely looks like weapon shaders to me. And right after they collect these weapons, we see exactly the purpose of the European Dead Zone tokens, with the rewards now being replaced with being able to use your European Dead Zone tokens, as you can see this player do right here, to increase the European Dead Zone rep. So going around doing different activities and just killing enemies in general is going to get you tokens. You just turn in these tokens to Devrim K and get these powerful endgame rewards. It also seems that other resources found around the EDZ, in this case Dusklight shards, can be used to increase your reputation. Also, in case you didn't notice, the Glimmer cap seems to be over 50,000 instead of the measly 20 in Destiny. And moving on from there, we get a look at challenges when the player tries to summon a Sparrow. As you can see, there are 3 ongoing. Firstly, one for Lost Sectors, Firebase Hades. Loot a lost sector near Firebase Hades. After that, we have Red Legion Raider. Loot 3 Cabal supply caches. And lastly, Scourge of the Cabal. Defeat 75 Cabal enemies. So, where you get these challenges from? Well, that's a good question. But at least this is showing a huge step up in terms of your direction in Destiny 2. You actually have clear goals for what to go and do, rather than just kind of wandering aimlessly. These could be, they kind of definitely sound like bounties. And also, really interestingly, during this public event, you can see the timer is still ticking for the Pursue the Fallen public event this player is clearly doing. Down in the left-hand corner, it says a high-value target has dropped its plunder. So high-value targets, I guess, just come and go. No longer is a high-value target an actual whole public event, but rather you can just find them throughout the world. In this case, this player literally found one, killed one, and is going to loot the high-value target loot while doing a different public event. And that is pretty darn sweet. And so guys, that is it for really everything of note I found throughout this gameplay. If you saw anything I missed, let me know in the comment section down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it informative. Now if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. Those of you who do that are the MVPs of the channel. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. And if you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.